Can a Christian practice yoga? In Christianity, there is a practice called the communion rite, in which consecrated wine and bread are distributed to people. The wine is said to be symbolic of the blood of Jesus Christ. The bread is said to be symbolic of the body of Jesus Christ. People sometimes have wine with a meal. If a person drinks wine, does that mean he or she is practicing the Christian rite of communion? People sometimes have bread with a meal. If a person eats bread, does that mean that she or he is practicing the Christian rite of communion? Or are the people simply having wine and bread with their meal? It is self-evident that merely drinking wine or eating bread are not in themselves the same as practicing the sacred communion of Christianity. That sacred communion has goals in itself, with the wine and the bread having great significance, leading the faithful to the religious fruits of the practice. In yoga there is an aspect of practice called asana, which has to do with posture that is used for meditation, or those postures used to make the body flexible in preparation for meditation. These postures are but steps along the way to the higher goals of yoga. What are these goals of yoga? Yoga means union of the ever-pure individual center of consciousness known as Atman, with the universal consciousness called Brahman. Yoga has to do with the union of the feminine creative consciousness known as Shakti with the ever-still masculine known as Shiva. Yoga is the realization of the self-existent awareness known as Purusha as standing complete and not aligned with the appearances known as Prakriti. As these are the goals of yoga, the practice of postures is but a step along the way. Without these true goals of yoga, to call the practice of postures yoga is like saying that the mere drinking of wine as a beverage is one and the same with the Christian communion practice. Ignoring the context of postures within the whole of yoga is like merely eating a sandwich made of bread and calling it a sacred Christian religious rite. Can a Christian practice yoga? According to Christian sources, there are as many as tens of thousands of Christian denominations, each with its unique views. Possibly some of them and some of their followers have goals similar to yoga. Possibly some of the Christian mystics and denominations see the instruction that the Lord our God, the Lord is one, as referring to the unity of all and the realization of this being the goal of a human. Possibly some see the Father and I are one as the highest religious goal to attain personally, as well as that the Mother and I are one, as Father, Mother, and I are all one. Possibly some see that the suggestion that the kingdom of heaven is at hand is an instruction to seek the highest union with the divine here and now in this very life and world. Though the Christians with such views may be few among the many, for them yoga may be a most fitting practice, as the goals for these mystics are compatible, if not essentially the same as those of yoga. For others not ready for the subtleties, the mystic vision and the goals of yoga remain yet beyond and out of reach for the time being. If one practices physical posture without the higher goals, it can hardly be called yoga, whether or not one self-identifies as a Christian. It may be physical fitness, but it is no more yoga than drinking wine and eating bread alone are practices of Christianity. Can a Christian practice yoga? It depends on the individual Christian and the extent of his or her deep longing for union or yoga that may lie deeply in the mind and heart.